So the first triple header of the season is over, and the obvious winner heading to Miami is Oscar Piastri. The young Australian has found some very impressive form, winning 3 of the opening 5 races and leaves Saudi Arabia with a 10-point lead in the Drivers' Championship. However, the result could have been very different. Max Verstappen finished just 2.8 seconds back in second place, and based on pure race time, if he had avoided a penalty for a Turn 1 incident where he gained an advantage by going off track, then Verstappen may very well have won. Today, I'll check out the fallout from the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, Verstappen's fury over the penalty imposed on him, and talk about the state of the championship going forward. So, don't go anywhere. McLaren's Oscar Piastri took his 3rd win of the year, and with it the World Championship lead at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Piastri benefited from a penalty for Red Bull's Max Verstappen to take control of the race and score his 2nd win in a week. Verstappen was given a 5-second penalty for illegally keeping the lead from Piastri by going off the track at the first corner, but had more than enough pace to keep 2nd place. Verstappen was frustrated he couldn't secure more of the weekend though. He took a superb pole position on Saturday, and even though he admitted it might be tough to hold Piastri back, he was in an excellent position to take his 2nd win of the season. However, Verstappen never got the chance to defend his position. Piastri got a much better launch and was completely alongside the Red Bull before Max could close the door on the inside. That meant they entered the first corner side by side. Verstappen hung it out around the outside, released his brakes and cut the chicane and retained the lead on the exit. He claimed that Piastri had forced him off, but the stewards disagreed and gave the Dutchman his penalty, which he served at his pit stop. Piastri, who had tracked Verstappen closely through the first stint before beginning to drop off a little in the last couple of laps before their stops, was then in a 4.8-second lead, which he managed to stabilize for the rest of the race. It was a tough loss for Verstappen to take, who on pure pace appeared to be faster than Piastri. Nonetheless, Max was very quick to pile praise on Piastri by saying, "I've said it before, people sometimes forget a little bit. Last year was his 2nd year, now 3rd, and he's very solid, very calm in his approach, and I like that. It shows on track. He delivers when he has to deliver, barely makes any mistakes, and that's what you need to do when you want to fight for a championship." Piastri's calm and cool personality has made him a standout from the other potential champions around him. The way he dispatched Lewis Hamilton after his pit stop to get some clean air and build a gap to Max was show-stopping. Norris and Leclerc, perhaps the highest regarded non-drivers champions on the grid at the moment, can get heated during a race, and both have become known for their high-profile mistakes. Norris in particular made a massive one on Saturday when he crashed out during qualifying. That is back-to-back qualifying sessions now that Norris has failed to deliver in when we all know what he's capable of, and Piastri has capitalized on that. Oscar's 2 wins to Lando's 3rd and 4th place in the last 2 races means that Oscar arrives in Miami with a 10-point lead over his teammate. However, should it perhaps be the 3rd place to Verstappen that he should be more worried about? While Max was well off the pace in Bahrain, Red Bull turned it around in Saudi Arabia. They appeared to find the perfect setup for the Dutchman just in time for qualifying, as they had done in Japan, and while he didn't convert it to a win this time, the pace was certainly there. The McLaren drivers are well aware that Red Bull do have the performance in their car to challenge for race wins, and while they struggle to find it at times this season, the more times they do find that performance, the easier finding it will become. Piastri spoke of his relief at crossing the line first in Jeddah. The Australian was asked about his feelings of satisfaction at winning and said, "The fact that I crossed the line first, to be honest, it wasn't the easiest of wins. The start was tough, the first stint was tough behind Max, and then once I had some clean air, it was a bit easier to manage, but I still couldn't afford to take my foot off the gas. It was a difficult race, and Max was quick behind me, so I had to keep pushing. I could control it reasonably well, but it was a little bit tighter than I would have liked." Norris insisted that the Red Bull car was as fast as his McLaren, and Oscar also said that he was really surprised to see the race pace of the Red Bull. The McLaren drivers will need to be careful in the coming races, because if Verstappen can string together a couple of good results and get himself a lead in the Drivers' Championship, it'll be hard to take it back from him. While McLaren have said that their drivers are free to race for now, if Max keeps on the pressure at the top of the table, then team orders may be needed sooner rather than later to ensure that McLaren secure the double championship season they so desperately want. While Piastri was able to get away with the win on Sunday, he was helped by the lap 1 turn 1 penalty that Verstappen picked up for gaining advantage by leaving the track. When the four-time champion was told over the radio about the 5-second penalty which he served at his pit stop, he responded by saying, "Wow, that is lovely." It was a measured and controlled response from Verstappen, who in the past would have had a lot more to say about a penalty which he felt was unjustified. His boss, Christian Horner, brought a photograph of the incident around post-race as evident that his driver was actually ahead going into the first corner and that the penalty was unjustified. F1 journalist Chris Medland wrote on X, "One team boss, not from McLaren, saw it and said, 'Let it go, he was never making that corner.'" Max was equally as upset about the decision, but was mindful of the repercussions that could come from voicing his feelings. Verstappen refused to discuss his unhappiness with the penalty he was given because he was concerned about the retribution from Formula One's governing body, the FIA. Verstappen said, "You can't share your opinion because it's not appreciated apparently, or people can't handle the full truth. Honestly, it's better if I don't say too much. It's honestly just how everything is becoming. Everyone is super sensitive about everything. And what we have in the rules currently, we cannot be critical anyway. So less talking, even better for me." Verstappen's comments are a reference to a change in the FIA's rulebook over the winter that introduced a series of penalties for drivers who either repeatedly swear or criticize the governing body. These were introduced at the demand of the controversial FIA president Mohammed Ben Sulayem and can lead to a 1-month ban plus a deduction of championship points. Verstappen said in the official news conference in Jeddah on Sunday, "I cannot swear in here, but at the same time, you also can't be critical in any form that might harm or danger. Let me get the sheet out. There's a lot of lines, you know? So that's why it's better not to talk about it. You can put yourself in trouble, and I don't think anyone wants that." When it was put to him that being less expressive than previously had seemed to be a trend from him already this season, he said, "It has to do with social media in general and how the world is. I prefer not to talk a lot because sometimes your words can be twisted or people interpret it in different ways. It's honestly better not to say too much." By now, everyone is well aware of how Verstappen feels about the FIA and how they manage the F1 rulebook. He is just one of many drivers, team bosses, and commentators and journalists of the sport who are unhappy with the changes that Mohammed Ben Sulayem has been making within the FIA. Verstappen's decision to not speak on the matter post-race was sensible. Receiving a points reduction or a ban would be the end of his Drivers' Championship challenge this season, and as much as he hates MBS and the FIA and what he has done to F1, he loves winning the Drivers' Championship more. What did you think of the race? Should the McLaren drivers be worried about Red Bull? And what do you think of Verstappen's penalty? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.